Hello everyone to another episode of our package development for Vue components series. So in the last video, we've checked how we can build, our package component. We've created this simple component that allowed us to have this star rating component. And in this video, we're going to actually build it and deploy it. Okay, so the first step is to open up the vite.config file. So we've seen this file in the previous video, but this is basically very important to make sure that this file exists, even if because in the previous video we used Tailwind CSS and we needed to actually build the style so that we can test in our demo app. But if you haven't created this file in the previous video, then it's time to create it now, because it's very important to actually build your ECMAScript JS files that will be used by the person who will use your component. Okay, so once we have this file, the next part is in the package.json. So we're gonna make a few changes here, and okay, so let's let's change this to false. And maybe make this version 0.0.1. The type is module. We're gonna add a main section, and this section we're gonna give it the folder dist/umd.js, which is the UMD file. Also, we're gonna need to add module. Also dist/es.js, which is our file here. And we're going to define the list of exports that our package can actually export. And they're going to be dot. So this is the first export. So we have import the dist folder /style. Okay, let's start with the JavaScript. So es.js, and for the require, basically we require the dist umd.js. So when the user uses import, we're going to use the ECMAScript one. When the user uses require, we're gonna use the common JS one. Okay, so that's the first thing. The second thing is the styles themselves. So this style.css, we're allowed to import it again. So the import will be that file, css dist style.css, this one, and if we require it, it's basically the same file. Let's copy and paste this. Okay, so what we did here is we told npm that we are allowed to export these files, and we're allowed to import them in our application. We have the div, script here, the build, the preview. Actually, sometimes I want to add a watch script, which allows me to run the demo app. So I'm gonna cd into the demo app, and then I'm gonna run dev inside the demo app. Now, I can also define the list of files that I want to keep. Again, we're not interested, when we publish this to npm.js, we're not interested to have the source files included. All we care about is the dist folder. So we can pretty much explicitly mention those files. So the first one is package.json and package.lock.json, and the dist folder, and probably the readme as well. So the readme.md. Okay, so also we need this package to make sure that whoever is installing it also has Vue version 3. So we're going to add that into peer dependencies. And we need a dependency of Vue version, let's see, probably version 3.2.47 or whatever. So this should work. Perfect. Now, it looks like our package.json file is ready. Now let's build. Now our package has been built. Now the next step is to either directly publish this to npm.js, or you can turn it into, something that gets published automatically whenever you push this to your GitHub or GitLab account. And that's what we're gonna have a look at in the next video. See you then. In the previous video, we have actually built our own package, but now we need to publish it. So in this video, I'm going to use GitLab to actually have my package not only published as a source code somewhere in a Git repository, but also being built automatically and pushed into GitLab container registry. Now this is great if you want your package to remain private, so that maybe within your organization. But again, you can always publish it to npm.js for the public to use as well. So it's basically the same logic. Here we're going to use GitLab. Maybe in another video we're going to use npm.js directly. Yeah, let's get started. So here, as you can see, I am in some organization project, directory in GitLab. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project. And let's have it as a blank project. And I'm going to call it cool, cool stars. And this is a private project without a README file create. Great. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this locally. And I also assume that you have synchronized basically your GitLab SSH tokens with your local machine so that you're able to push. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to push this project directly to GitLab. This is the first step. So I'm going to add all the files. I'm going to commit them. Let's call this initial commit. And I'm going to link the local repository with this repository. So by adding this remote. And then we're going to push to this origin remote, git push. Yeah, the reason is because we have not initialized a new repository. And I'm gonna add the remote again. We're going to commit, and finally we're going to push. So git push. And it says here that you did not define a default repository to upstream to push to. So I'm going to copy this so that we can define the master as the default one. Here I'm going to say yes. And it says, please make sure to have the correct access rights. Yeah, it looks like in this computer, I did not synchronize my GitLab with this machine. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my GitLab profile, go to preferences, and there's here SSH keys, and I will create pretty much another key. But of course, we're going to have to generate the key itself. Okay, let's Google that up. So generate a SSH key for GitLab. And when you do that, you're going to see first link, which takes you to user ssh.html. If you scroll down, you're going to see this command, which allows you to pretty much generate your key. Change this with your email address. So enter, enter, enter again, and it should be good to go. Now the SSH key has been generated and has been saved in your C folder, users, your local user.ssh. So new files were created, the ID RSA, which is your private key. This key you should not share with anyone. And you have the ID RSA.public key, which is the key that, well, you can share it with others to identify you or your computers. So I'm going to open this with Visual Studio Code. I'm going to copy this key and basically I'm going to paste it here and I'm going to add key. Perfect. Now, after doing that, if I try to, push my code again, as you can see, I was able to actually push. If I get back to my project at GitLab, now it is pushed, which is great. But when it is pushed, nothing happens. Like it was not built or whatever. We need it to be built, and we're going to take advantage of the GitLab CI/CD, technology. Again, so I'm going to get back to my project, and I'm going to create a new file. Let's call it .gitlab CI.yml. And here we're going to use the image node 16.19.0-alpine 3.17. So this is the Docker image we're going to use to build our application. We're going to have 3 stages. So the first one is install and build and deploy. So for the install stage, okay, let's connect this job to the install stage, and let's define the script that would actually install it. So npm clear install, and then we're gonna list everything in the directory. So listing is not necessary, but it's great for you to actually debug your pipeline directly in GitLab while it is happening. We can also save, of course, the artifacts. So the paths are going to be, let's see, the node modules and the package log.json. So these two, the nodes module and the package log.json file, are important because after you install, we're going to have all the modules here, and also the package.json will be updated based on the modules that were installed. So basically these two here are the output of this operation. So I'm going to add a when argument here on success and expire in, let's say, 1 day. Okay, great. Now the next stage is build. So we're going to create a build job that is connected to the build stage and a script. So we're going to run the build. So npm run. Basically, we're going to build our application. And again, I'm going to list everything in the directory to make sure that everything was built. And then we're going to add dependencies. And this depends on the install stage. In other words, if this failed, this will not run. And we're going to add the artifacts that are required to keep for the next stage. And their path is the dist folder. Because again, like after we build, what we really care about is only the dist folder. So that's what we're going to keep for the next stage. And of course, we only, save that artifact on success. There's no point to save the artifact if we fail for some reason. And let's keep it for 1 day. Great. And finally is the deployment. So how are we going to deploy? Let's first create the job, and there are a few other steps later to add to our GitLab account with, a token, and yeah. So the deploy, and then dependencies. Okay, let me copy and paste. Build, and the script is the following. So I'm going to have multiple lines, so I'm going to use this syntax to be able to add multiple lines. So the first one is we're going to be able to push this directly to the package container. There's something that I need to do here to publish this as a scoped package that only my organization can use. So I'm going to go to the package.json. I'm going to change the name here to the name of the organization, which is a group in GitLab, and then / the name of the package. So that's something that needs to be done. And then I'm going to get back to the CI file. And basically, I'm going to echo the name of my organization's .registry. This is to add the registry. And that is going to be https gitlab.com/API v4 /projects. And then the ID of my project, which I can copy directly from here. So this one, paste, and then /packages /npm. So after I, basically what I'm doing here is, you can see there's this packages and registry container. So whenever we publish a new version in our package, we wanted to build a new package container directly in here. Yeah, so let's continue. Okay, so all of this, we want it to be saved in a new file called .npmrc. So during the deploy, we're going to create a new file called .npmrc, and we're going to place this line into that text file. Also, there's another line that we need to add, which is gitlab.com/API/v4 /projects. And then again, the ID of our project, and then packages /npm / and then we're going to have to define the auth token. And that token is equal to the GitLab token. And let's add double quote here, escape double quote, and also escaped double quote. And then finally add that line also to the .npmrc. If you don't know what the .npmrc file, basically this file allows you to configure the, like the credentials. For example, when you publish a file, a project directly to npm, if it's not private, then there's no GitLab token needed. But since this is a private repository, that file has to be created and has to contain both of these lines. You can read more about this directly in the GitLab documentation, but if you want something that works, it's basically, writing these two lines. Okay, I also want the version to be generated automatically. So I'm going to write a small bash command here, which we will use the sed command -ne, and then look, everywhere for the text version, or let's say version. And then I'm going to explain this in a bit, but for now, let me write this correctly. And then we have basically this one. The regular expression, 1 colon, and more than one character, and then dot, multiple ones, 1/p. Yeah, I think this would work. Package.json. Okay, so basically, first of all, let me verify this, and then I'm going to explain it. So we have a variable sed -ne, and then we have s/dot star, and then version, and colon, and then we have open parentheses and plus, close parentheses, and we have quotes dot star /1/p. Okay, so what this is, now let's see what this does. Basically, this will open up the package.json file that we have, and it'll parse the file and look for version and see that version, right? And it'll take that version and consider it to be the version of this package. So basically that's what it is doing. And it is, of course, using regular expressions, etc., but basically that's the essence of it. Now let's deploy some text, for example, deploying version, and then version. And yeah, maybe that's enough. And then npm publish. And let's list everything. And we only want this to happen in the master branch. So if, for example, we're working on some develop branch or feature branch or whatever, we don't want to rebuild the package, only in the master branch. Okay, now let's review this file. So this file will use the node Docker image, and it has 3 stages and 3 jobs, 1 job per stage. So for the first stage install, we're going to npm install and keep the nodes module and package lock JSON for the next stage, which will run npm run build. And again, it'll keep the dist folder for the next stage. And then the next stage will create this npm-rc file and copy those 2 lines inside of it, which will first identify which npm container registry we're going to store our package in. And then also the second line is to authenticate, to provide a token so that we can publish to that container registry. And then here we determine which version is being written in the package.json file, and then we use that. We basically, show it on screen, like we're deploying versions. So both of these lines are unnecessary. You can delete them if you think they're confusing you for some reason, but it'll be cool if you can, see the logs, see what version is being deployed, etc. And then finally, we have npm publish, which will use implicitly the .npm-rc file to know how and where to publish this container, this package, basically. Okay, let's actually try this. I'm gonna add these changes and commit them. So let's give it a name. Now we can build and publish our package automatically. Great. Now, when we get back to our GitLab, we need to push this. Yeah, let's push this. Okay, let's refresh. Okay, so it's pushed, but we have an error here. Let's see. So it says here, jobs install artifacts config contains a known key path. So it looks like we have a typo here. Let's debug this. It's pretty awesome, like interesting for you to see some of these issues and bugs so that you also learn how to debug when you have an issue. So it says here in the jobs install, right? And artifacts. So here, path, yeah. So basically this should be paths, not path, because it is a list. Okay. Now let's try again. Git add, git commit. Fix a typo in the deploy script. Now let's push again. And let's see. Okay, we have another error. Now it says build job and defined dependency install. Let's see. So it is saying in the build job, what is it? This one. So dependency install is undefined. Yes, because I also misspelled it here. So let's, fix another typo. Let's push again. Perfect. Now you can see that the pipeline started working. We can open it to see what's happening. So this is the build stage. So we're going to wait for this a bit. And then later we're going to come here to the packages registry to see our package built here. Okay, so it looks like the build, the install stage is finished. Now the build stage is running. Okay, the build stage is finished. Now the deploy stage is running. Okay, so it looks like, let's see, it looks like there's an error. And yeah, it makes sense because if we get back here, you can see that we are using a GitLab token, but we did not add the GitLab token as an environment variable. So we should be adding it here. GitLab token. And we should here supply the GitLab token. Now I'm going to pause the video. I'm going to, bring the GitLab token and put it in here. If you don't know where to get that GitLab token, you can simply, again, go back to your profile. Here, you can see there's access tokens, and you can generate an access token. So it's pretty simple, pretty straightforward. Put a name here, and then generate an access token and use it there. Okay, so after adding the GitLab token, all we need is just to rebuild the application. But I also noticed here that there is a one typo, so this should be registry and not register. So let's fix it. So registry. I also noticed another small issue here, which is I forgot to add the slash at the end here. So make sure that there is a slash after the word npm. Without that slash, it won't be able to find the registry and it won't be able to authenticate as a result. So make sure you add that slash and push again. So after I added the slash and I pushed, you can see that the entire pipeline is finished now. And if I go to the package registry, you'll notice that a new package has been created at vpairs cool stars. Perfect. Now, how do I actually install this package in my application? So I'm going to try this on directly in my demo app, see if I can directly install the package from the package registry. Yeah, so first things first, I'm going to create a new file .npmrc, because again, this is a private repository, which means I'm going to have to copy basically these two lines locally so that I can be able to authenticate. So let's get rid of these echoes, this quote, and this part right here. And yeah, we're going to have to replace this with an actual token. So here we're going to write your GitLab token. I'm going to write mine here. And, for the sake of, this is, a private key, so I'm going to skip this part. Okay, so basically I added my credentials directly in the .npmrc there, the auth token. And I also want that to be excluded from the get ignore. So I'm going to go to the get ignore here and add the .npmrc. Great. So this should pretty much exclude it whenever we try to publish it. Also, I'm going to do it here as well. So the demo app /.npmrc. And yeah, so let's try this out. Inside of the demo folder, I'm going to try to install npm install vpairs /cool stars. Great. Now, if I go to the package.json, we can see here that the package has been installed successfully. And all I need to do is simply go to the app.vue here and replace this with the actual package name. And for the style, we're going to replace this with the package /this/style.css. And when we save, you can see it is still working pretty fine, except for now the package is actually available online in our package container registry, which means other employees or other colleagues or other people can actually use it. The same package can be deployed directly to npm.js or any private package container registry, and it would still work the same way. And that's it for this video. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I just wanted to take a moment to thank each and every one of you for supporting this channel. Your encouragement and feedback means the world to me. And for those who would like to support this channel in a more tangible way, I have a Patreon page where you can make monthly contribution, but please don't feel pressured to do so. Your viewership and support in any form is truly appreciated. Feel free to like and share this series if you liked it. That generally supports me. And as promised, I will also be including the names of all my Patreon supporters at the end of next video, so be sure to check that one out. Again, thank you very much for watching. All the source code and will be included in a blog post that you can find in the description section of this video. So that's my blog. Feel free to follow it as well. And yeah, thank you very much. and I will see you in the next video. By the way, if you have any video in mind, anything that you think would be interesting for me to, create, feel free to mention that as well. All right, thank you very much. Take care.